I'd like to talk about so-called transcendent experiences, and in particular about feelings of profound, deep understanding of reality that often accompanies these experiences. Can we really say that these experiences open the doors of perception so as to act as a keyhole through which we can peep into the functioning of the universe? Do they bring any positive value? Are they useful? How do these mental states come about? Well, there is a myriad of ways. Sometimes they arise spontaneously when brain malfunctions, as in epileptic seizures or schizophrenia. Sometimes they are a result of ingesting a psychoactive substance, and in other cases they are the effect of prolonged practice, most notably meditation. Let's look at some examples of such experiences to get a better understanding of what we're talking about. One of them is oneness, where a person feels that there is no separation between himself and the rest of the world, and that each thing is just a part of one greater undivided whole. Then there is a related connectedness experience that expresses a feeling of being in contact with all things in the universe. Another one is no self, where a person having this experience seems to be so engulfed by the experience that there is no place in their mind for their own person or ego. There is just experience itself. People under the influence of these experiences are overflown with them. That is, other things have no place in their minds. The experience takes the center stage. No, that's not close enough. The stage is no more. There is only this intense experience. That is why I think they can claim that the experience itself and the meaning of it are so intense and deep. Their perspective is absolutely caught in the grip of their state of mind. We are used to hearing scientists talk about counterintuitive or flat-out unbelievable explanations of various physical phenomena, quantum physics being the most popular among such explanations. This is not a surprise because we know that we have evolved to understand and solve problems of a different kind, that is, basic survival, not abstract mathematics or fundamental physics. I just want to say that we should not dispense with the ideas that come out of transcendent experiences simply because the reports of these states of mind sound bizarre or non-intuitive. We better analyze them critically and treat them with a serious analytical approach. Rigorous and impactful understanding is valued in many places. In ethics, it is important to clearly point out fundamental assumptions of a specific moral system and how it works. Having a system well spelled out allows us to bring other things into its context. We can take an action, a belief, or a rule for behaving and ascertain whether or not the thing we are scrutinizing conforms to the system. Is it a bad thing or a good thing, for example? We can also think about the moral system in question and see what are the oughts and ought-nots that follow from the system. What we want is an understanding that is not isolated but open, in the sense that it can be infused with elements from the outside and in the sense that more things can come out of it. What I'm interested in here is the pragmatic value of a given understanding. In art and many creative endeavors, it wouldn't make sense to ask whether or not something is true. For example, a painter practicing his talent need not be concerned with the correctness of his understanding of art. Instead, many a time we care about the impact or consequences of a given understanding. Then we can go further and ask, are the results positive, useful, do they bring something of value? I suggest we do just that with respect to transcendent experiences. Non-duality of experience. I look into the characteristic of non-duality of experience that is often mentioned when talking about meditation, psychedelics, and even religious experience. The essential notion of non-duality of experience of the type I want to talk about is the realization that there is no real distinction between what is being perceived and the person who perceives. Any alleged difference or separation between the two is said to be an illusion, a mistake. What happens in actuality, as it is claimed, is that there is one process of perceiving and nothing else, without any distinct subjects or objects of this perceiving. A written record of such an experience follows. The perfection of the apple that I was holding in my hand made me understand that through the fact that I was perceiving it, I was actually bringing it into being. The moment I took a bite, a tremendous fear engulfed me, and a brief thought went by as fast as light. Oh shit, I'm dying. But there was too late to do anything about it. I've already done it. The whole sensorium of hearing, the crackling of the apple, the taste, the smell, the holding, the sight, they all synesthetically combined, and I was the fucking apple. There was no me, just the process of appling. When ascertaining merit or value of the concept of non-duality of experience, we have to check what follows from it, or at least what we could possibly derive from it. Let's do that now. Firstly, even if there are no subjects, at least not in the usual sense, there certainly are experiences of being a subject. What this means is that happiness and suffering do matter. Not only are they legitimate experiences in and of themselves, but they are usually linked with other experiences of being a subject, which potentially enhances them. A simple feeling of pain becomes complex "I'm in pain", which can lead to more negative states. Secondly, because there are positive and negative experiences in the world and they are not owned by anybody, it doesn't really matter to which head they are attached to, so to speak. It should matter just as much to increase well-being here as over there, and it should be just as important to decrease suffering somewhere else as it is to do so here. In normal language, we would use the word me or I instead of here, and instead of over there and somewhere else, we would refer to other people, to strangers. The bottom line is, the non-duality of experience may be used to get to a well-formed moral system that seeks to better well-being across the world. Oneness. The other profound feeling worth taking a closer look at is oneness. Let's take a very concrete example written by a person who actually had an experience of oneness and of infinity while tripping on magic mushrooms. It was a little of this, a little of that, just the right amount of everything and its opposite. It was everything that has ever existed and ever will, and was every action that has ever occurred and ever will. It was the absolute unity of everything. Ultimately, it was only one thing. Everything and nothing at all. It was one thing. One thing. One thing. All of life, all of death, all of infinity, all of eternity. It was one. What was this thing? God? Yes, perhaps that is what our little minds call God. All that one thing did, does, will do for all eternity is just be, just exist. It is the infinite. It is the I am. It is you. It is me. It is a stone. It is a drop of water. It is a disease. Everything from the most unholy, insignificant thing to the most important of it all. This is eternity. And these words don't even come close to giving this encounter the grace it deserves. This is the feeling that the world is not made of separate things, but there is just the world, and that's it. You and me are like fingers of a single hand. If we think about it more analytically, we can recognize that people have an evolutionary lineage, a long history. We are a part of nature. What comes from nature is also nature. Here I'm pointing to culture. There is no nature versus culture, because culture is nature. We know that we exchange atoms from our bodies at an incredible pace. Where do you begin and where do you end? Continuing this line of reasoning, you may find more and more arguments or clues in favor of the position that you are so strongly linked to the past, to nature, to your culture, to physical environment, etc., that it would be impossible to even think about conceptually carving you out of this entangled world. You don't exist in a void. You couldn't. You are a tiny filament of the fabric of the universe, inseparable. There are two ways to get to the perspective of an indivisible world, through reason and through feeling. Certainly the former has a more general appeal, as it can be readily communicated and understood by other people. More importantly, it can be used to construct a philosophical position about the world and ontology. The transcendent experience of oneness can spearhead an exploration of the topic, informing the process of constructing the theory by bringing details and valuable insights. Conclusion. I would like to end by saying that even though the metaphysical claims having roots in transcendent, mystical or psychedelic experiences may not be empirically verifiable, they still can be valuable. Hence, we can at least treat them pragmatically. By this, I would like to see them as similar to feelings. A strong feeling is not necessarily informative of the real world. We don't treat feelings as being true or false. But still, they are immensely useful. And what's more, life without feelings would be simply flat, empty, dull. Feelings paint our lives with meaning, drama, tragedy, adventure, story. We may see transcendent experiences in similar ways, not as claims to be checked by sciences, but as colors and hues to paint the stories of our lives and of our culture. I would very much like to hear what you have to say about all that, so drop a comment, and while you're at it, like the video if you in fact do. Also consider subscribing and connect with me on Twitter to stay in touch. Until next time.